Here's a look at the weekly crop progress report, today being brought to you by KAAPA Ethanol. This is, of course, a view from across the nation. Corn dented sits at 96%. It was 92% last week. Maturity is at 75%, a big jump from the 61% of last week. 21% of the crop is harvested, where it was 14% last week, and just losing 1 percentage point to 64%, good to excellent. Soybeans are dropping leaves on 81% of the crop. It was 65% last week. Soybean harvested at 26%, 13% last week. Crop conditions for soybeans holding steady at 64%, good to excellent. Winter wheat planting at 39%. Emergence sits at 14%. Cotton bolls opening at 72%, harvested at 20%. It was 14% last week and drops to 31%, good to excellent. There were 6.8 days suitable for field work across Nebraska during this last week. Topsoil moisture is now 37% short, 32% adequate, and 1% surplus. Subsoil moisture is 40% short, 35% adequate, and 1% surplus. Corn conditions are now rated at 20% fair, 48% good, and 21% excellent. Maturity sits at 79%, near 81% of last year, ahead of 74% 5-year average. 17% of the crop is now harvested. Soybean conditions in Nebraska at 23% fair, 51% good, and 17% excellent. 88% of the crop is dropping leaves. That's near the 92% of last year. Harvesting now at 24% complete, just about the same as what it was a year ago. Winter wheat planting is at 71%, emergence at 20%. Sorghum conditions are 52% good and 25% excellent. 57% of the crop is mature, with 6% harvested. Dry edible beans are 46% good and 25% excellent. Dry edible beans dropping leaves at 85% and harvested sitting at 56%. Pasture and range report for Nebraska has it at 28% poor, 33% fair, 21% good, and 59% excellent. So let's take a look at how the state of Kansas fared. First, with their suitable days for field work at 6.2 days, we're looking at the topsoil moisture at 42% short, 40% adequate, and 2% surplus. Subsoil moisture is 43% short, 37% adequate, and 1% surplus. In the winter wheat plantings, 32%, and the emergence sits at 10%. Corn condition is now 31% fair, 29% good, and 8% excellent. Corn maturity at 92%, harvested at 53%. Soybean conditions in Kansas at 31% fair, 42% good, 8% excellent. Soybean dropping leaves sits at 73%, harvested at 11%. Sorghum conditions are 34% good and 5% excellent. Sorghum coloring is at 95%, maturity at 60%, with harvested now at 17%, which happens to be equal to last year. Cotton conditions are rated as 44% good and 5% excellent. Cotton bolls are opening at 81%, harvested at 8%. Sunflowers are now 11% harvested. And finally, your pasture and range report for Kansas finds 20% poor, 43% fair, 24% good, and only 3% excellent. That's a look to the KAAPA Ethanol weekly crop progress report on KRVN.